but hopefully you get something out of it. I'm JD. This is +1 Business Dinner. Hopefully this is why you're here. If not, then get some food and get out. No. Okay, so +1 Business Dinner. Let me make sure my slides work. Perfect. Really excited tonight. If you've ever been to a +1, actually, how many people have been to +1 Business Dinner before? Please raise your hand. Okay, great. And then how many of you, this is the first time? So it's actually like 2/3. So 2/3 have been before, and 1/3 this is the first time. That's great. +1 Business Center. This is actually the 10th one. So now we've crossed into double digits. I'll talk a little bit about +1 Business Center, and then we're going to get into the topic tonight, which is how to use mentors to expand your business. Okay. But thank you so much for being a part of +1. And like I said, number 10. So it's a really important one. But first, before we get started, we wouldn't be here without the great support and partnership of SparkLabs. So let's thank Edgar and SparkLabs, and also Sandy, program manager from SparkLabs, is here to share a little bit about SparkLabs and their upcoming events. Sandy?
Hello, everyone. I can share it in English, but this time I want to share it in Chinese because I want like everyone to have better understanding and absorb the content I'll share next. OK, so 真的非常开心可以认识大家，还有今天在座的各位。因为其实今天是蛮多人报名的，但我知道可能下雨的关系，所以有一些就是这次活动也稍微有一些 delay。那就很感谢大家，就是在这个时候就很耐心的等待。那也许有一些人就是之前已经听过 SparkLabs， 但我知道还是有一些新面孔，可能之前没有参加过我们举办的活动，所以我这边还是花个3到5分钟，就是非常快速的介绍。那 SparkLabs 台湾的话，我们是国际的创投，还有新创加速器基本上我们是从矽谷出来的，所以在全世界很多个地方都有点。那我们专注在投资早期的新创，从天使轮到 Pre-A 轮都有。那我们其实看的是怎么样更好的帮助台湾的新创可以走到国际的舞台。那在这方面的话，我们其实没有限定领域，所以今天不管是医疗还是你是做食品相关的行销科技、都市娱乐、5G 治安，然后 IoT 相关的，这些其实都是我们有在看的领域。那基本上进到我们加速器的话，我们一开始就会投资，因为我们非常在意怎么样创业家可以更好的帮助创业家。所以包含就是我们团队的所有人过去其实都有在新创公司工作，或是有创业的背景。那我们的managing partner 还有 co-founder Edgar 坐在这边，他其实过去也在 Cusco 担任营运长，然后也很成功的把 Cusco 这个服务就带到世界各地很多的国家。然后也成功的就是后来被收购，就是韩国的 Naver 集团，就是换一个母公司。所以其实我们非常在意，今天我们本身有没有具备这样的经验，才可以更好的帮助创业家。然后在第一线，我们就去观察他们的需求，然后更好的帮助到他们。所以其实今天为什么会有这个 BD 的 workshop， 也是我们发现，其实 BD 也是一个非常重要的一个技能。因为老实说，我们观察到一个问题，就是台湾的新创很多技术很强，可是你今天新创要成功，你不可能只有技术强。你要知道怎么样去做简报，怎么样跟别人募资，你也要会行销，你也要会做业务，会谈判，然后会去做 sales 来去把客户谈进来。但有发现有哪一样事情，哪一个技能是共同的吗？就是 BD skills 嘛，就 BD 无所不在。所以这次我们也非常的荣幸，就是可以跟 PMf Strategy 的 JD 然后一起合作。这其实是我们合办的第3场活动了。那前2场活动，如果大家有兴趣的话，也可以到 LinkedIn 搜寻，因为这边都有影片去做记录。那我想跟大家分享，就是除了 BD 的 skills 以外就是其实创业的思维也蛮重要的。为什么这么说呢？因为我觉得创业思维它不是只有用于就是创业而已。今天如果我今天在一间公司工作，然后我也要就是AI 的 CEO， 然后我需要去站在老板的角度去想说，这个市场状况现在怎么样？去站在公司的立场去考虑很多的事情，去判断商机，去判断风险。未来如果当主管，其实也是。甚至是如果今天在座的各位，可能有一些也是想要转职，那转职为什么说可能也会需要用到创业思维呢？因为你要去判断你接下来想要加入的下一间公司， 它是不是一个可以快速成长的公司？应该没有人想要加入一个就是再来就要倒掉的公司吧。所以大家应该在座的各位都想要就是加入一个快速成长的公司，可以搭上火箭，可以快速成长。所以呢，这边跟大家分享一个，就是我们今年第一次举办的课程，就是创业核心周课。那这个创业核心周课，其实涵盖了创业的各个面向，你从募资、简报，怎么样去建立团队，然后你的股权规划等等，这些的核心思维，其实都在这一个课程里面会去带到。但有什么很特别的呢？就是我们这一次特别邀请了肖一白先生 Terry 来跟大家做分享。可能很多人都不知道说，Terry 到底是谁，甚至对这个脸孔也很陌生。他其实是一个很成功的连续创业家，他在美国2次的创业都很成功的出场，都被收购。然后可以跟大家分享一个小故事，就他第一次被收购的时候，那一年的就是第一名被资金收购最高的就是 YouTube， 然后第2名就是他。所以就是跟大家分享，然后那时候他其实有跟我们分享说，他一开始第一次创业的时候，他其实是做简讯服务。那时候其实很多人都非常不看好，就不管是投资人不看好，他身边的人不看好，甚至连他的客户都不看好，就是他 sell 的对象也不看好这个服务。他说你要做这个简讯服务，就是为什么大家要使用简讯？如果我都可以直接 call 你了，那我干嘛要用这个简讯服务？可是他还是很坚持的他自己的这个想法，然后去想办法找到 product market fit，然后去把这件事情做出来。那他到底怎么做到呢？我觉得这个也是这个课程有趣的地方，因为它跟一般的学校课程不太一样，就是我不是单纯教你的知识而已，我是由实战的创业家，他真的有这样子的一个创业经历，来去跟你分享他当初遇到什么困难点，然后他怎么做到这件事情。所以这次也是我们这一次课程一个很大的 highlight， 就是真的有实战创业家，然后特别回到台湾跟大家中文授课，而且分享的是创业的各个面向。我不是说我只有单纯讲募资或讲行销，是每一个阶段我都去涵盖到，让你先有对创业还有创业这个思维有一个 overall 的一个 picture。那另外这一堂课，其实也蛮适合就是外县市的朋友上的，虽然大家可能在座都是都工作的地方都在台北，但我们其实有考虑到，所以是可以让外县市的更多朋友参加，所以其实大部分的时间都是周2晚上的线上课程。那会有其中2个周末会是实体课程，那 Terry 他也会亲自飞回来台湾，然后跟大家面对面的做一个 sharing。所以如果有兴趣的各位，就不管你是 BD 还是 Sales， 然后或是你今天已经在创业了，未来想要创业，可能还没有一个创业的想法也没关系，那都欢迎你们来参加这样子的课程。那可以扫这个 QR code 就可以了解更多的资讯。那这次也特别跟大家分享，就是有一个特别优惠，就是 SparkLabs BD。如果今天你们有对这堂课有兴趣报名的话，在2月24这个礼拜5前输入这个优惠码的话，就可以享早鸟优惠，但折扣非常非常的多，所以大家如果要的话，可以把握机会。这堂课之后会不会再办不知道，就是这也是我们第一次try这个活动，所以我觉得机会蛮难得的。那很快速的跟大家分享第2个小活动，我觉得这时间也可以记下，因为刚有讲到说，就是我们在帮助创业家嘛。那其实我们每一届的在加速器啊，可能都从上百间的新创里面选其中6到8间。那这时候我们就会去提供给他们，在往国际市场扩张的时候呢，你怎么样去把你的基地给打好？那从各个面向的角度来去帮助他们，甚至打造了一个 demo day 这样子的舞台，可以让他们更好去做募资，然后往海外的市场发展。所以这次的 demo day 会在5月9号 TICC。所以如果大家有兴趣的话，这是 open to all 的，所以也非常欢迎大家来我们的 demo day， 然后可以看，今天一个12他应该要怎么 pitch， 然后怎么样去很简单明了的讲出他的服务和价值，甚至会吸引底下的投资人对他有兴趣，想要再进行下一轮的募资。所以这个活动也非常欢迎各位参加。以上简单的分享，那我把麦克风再交还给 JD。
Hey, Sandy, thank you, SparkLabs. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it tonight. Before we do, I do want to introduce our 2 great Fireside panelists, Taiwan and Jennifer Lin. Everybody say hi to them. They will come up here in a little bit for the Fireside. And before we get into tonight's topic, just a quick 10 seconds about Plus One. We started in my living room, and now there's 10 events and all these people. And why do we do this? Because we believe that Taiwan creates world-class technology and products, but Taiwan seeks world-class sales and marketing leadership. And that's really why we're here, right? And that's why you're here. We talk about business development, sales techniques in this room once a month. or once every 2 months. So thank you for being a part of this community. It's usually done in English, but most people in here can speak both languages relatively well. So feel free, you can ask questions in English or in Chinese. One more thing. Well, everybody, it's a little bit, everybody been sitting around for a little bit. Will you raise one hand? Okay. Everybody? Okay. And then will you raise the other hand? Okay, stretch out. Yeah. Okay, good. So now you know exactly how to ask a question, because you can practice that later when we have the Q&A. If you like tonight, we always ask the audience what they want the next topic to be. I will put this up again, so you don't have to do it right now. But we are considering deeper dive, B2B hardware sales channel strategy, or how does remote working impact B2B sales teams, or 5 ways to use ChatGPT for sales and marketing. If any of these topics resonate with you, please vote, and that will be the next topic that we do. And again, I will put this up at the end of the tonight as well, and you can vote with a QR code. Tonight, we're talking about how to use mentors to expand your business. I'll clarify. It's not specifically, how many people are founders? Raise your hand if you're a founder. Okay. Okay, good. How many people have ever been in a mentor meeting? Anybody? Friend, relative, mentors? Okay. So most of the people here. So tonight is a little bit about how to do a good mentor meeting, right? But more specifically, it's about how to use mentors to expand your business. Like, that's the point that we kind of want to talk about tonight. It does start with how to do a good mentor meeting, right? And that's a partnership between you and the mentor. So we're going to talk about what is a mentor meeting, what do you want out of a mentor meeting, how do you accomplish that, what is a bad mentor meeting, and then of course, what is a good mentor meeting, and then in the next 45 to 1 hour, we're going to cover all these topics, and then I'm going to ask people from the audience to come up and try it. I'm going to teach you some things that have worked for me, and then I'm going to ask people from the audience to come up and try some of these things, so that today you can take away, right? Take home some lessons, some ideas, okay? And then we'll have the fireside, and then everybody can network a little bit. Sounds good? Okay, who's ready for this? Everybody? Yes? All right. Who wants to lead good mentor meetings? I do. I want to be in good mentor meetings, right? Because who's been in a bad mentor meeting? Jennifer has. Bad mentor meetings are not fun. It's not fun for either side. And that's why we want to talk about this tonight. So first, we have to define it. We have to define it. What is a mentor meeting? For me, a mentor meeting, 30 minutes to an hour. It could be online, it could be in person, but it's where you're asking somebody for help. You're looking to get help from somebody else. It could be a friend, it could be an advisor, it could be an investor, okay? But you are there and you're seeking their help. So number one, we define that, right? And you think, okay, how do I accomplish that? How do I accomplish that? To do that, you have to define what you want to accomplish. Most founders, and I'm gonna slow a little bit down because I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then I'll get into this. So I've been a serial founder, no big exits, so no big house, right, yet, but I've been in the startup space for like 12 years, multiple companies that I founded, so I'm pretty familiar with the seed stage to the A stage, A round, like that band, like I'm very familiar. In America, I went through Capital Factory and Accelerator in Austin twice, and also 4-5 Ventures Accelerator in DC. And through that time, I had a lot of mentor meetings. Okay, at Capital Factory, it's a pretty big accelerator in the US. In 2017, they gave me the Founder of the Year award. Okay, and they surprised me with it, and I was like, why am I getting this award? Because my company did not raise the most money, didn't do a lot of that stuff. But they gave me the out of all those startups, they gave me the Founder of the Year award. And I said, why did you give me the Founder of the Year award? And they said, because, and if you go into accelerators, a lot of times you can book mentor meetings, right? So they have a lot of people, you can go and find mentors and speak to them, etc. So that year, they said, JD, you took the most mentor meetings this year. And because they had a really good calendar, so I could just like take mentor meetings all day long. I could, and then for them, mentors every week came into the kitchen of the kind of like this. So every day there'd be mentors, but you just have to book them, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna expand my business and I'm gonna book these mentor meetings. And so I said, oh, that's interesting, man. I guess I did. I said, how many mentor meetings did I take this year? And they said I think they said 121. No, sorry, sorry, I missed the punchline. They said something like 400 mentor meetings in 1 year. I would do it back to back in the kitchen, right? I would literally every Wednesday and Thursday, I would book 8 mentor meetings, back. I'm like, wow, 400 meetings, that's a lot. What was the next person? And they said, I remember the number, and they said 121. And I was like, I'm 4X the mentor meetings, right? And so I'm sharing all of this with you today because as founders, we think about mentor meetings as just maybe one thing that we have to do, or like a KPI that the accelerator wants us to do, or my uncle tells me like I have to go meet with somebody else, right? We think about mentor meetings as like, oh, man, I'm so busy, I gotta do this. And that's true. Mentor meetings take you out of it. But there's a big upside to mentor meetings. For me that year, the next year, I ended up raising $1.5 million, which is okay, from 43 angels. That's a lot of hustling, individual checks. And I got there because of all those mentor meetings, okay? And so now sometimes people ask me, maybe not, for help, right, mentor. And now I sit on the other side. I've sat through some just really crappy, I'm just literally roll my eyes like, okay, I gotta get out of here. And that's why this topic is really important to me, because as a founder, if you can get really good at this, and I'll show you what, I have one line later, that's really important. If you could get really good at this, this is going to expand your business, all right? So the first thing that you need when you have successful mentor meetings is you've got to know what you want, okay? So here's some options. Number one, everybody wants this, fundraising referrals, right? This is like 70% of founders go into mentor meetings wanting number one. Think about that, every mentor, these mentors, Edgar, all these mentors, right? They dread number one. When they get into a meeting with a new company, they're like, oh, I don't want to explain, or I don't want to be asked. They can speak for themselves, but they don't want to be like, how do I raise money? Okay, that's not a great question. There's another way to do it, and I'll show you in the next slide. But everybody wants number one. These other ones, you can really impress a mentor if you go in with a plan to get 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, well, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 is general networking. But if you have a plan and you do some research and you go in and it's targeted, it's not the first question out of your mouth, but in 30 minutes, you can accomplish 2, 3, and 4. And if you do that, I bet you will stand out in that mentor meeting. I will touch on this in the next slide, but standing out in a mentor meeting, just like anything else, is very important as a founder. Okay. Mentors meet a lot of people, and you want to stand out. Does anybody, a lot of these business or these plus ones, I like to have a lot of feedback. So does anybody have any feedback on these? Do they look good, or are there other ones that are not on there? Remember that exercise we did before? Yes, Daniel.
Can you quickly describe each one of them? Because, for example, what's strategic advice and work? What's the difference?
Perfect, great question. Fundraising referrals, of course. Fundraising referrals is, how do I raise money? Can you introduce me to people that can invest in my business? Client referrals is, my company does, I don't know, code development, IoT devices, and do you know other people that would be interested in my product or service? Okay. Number 3, strategic advice. I see on LinkedIn Daniel, I saw on LinkedIn that your background is in supply chain management. So my company is a hardware company, and we actually have one piece of our supply chain outsourced to Thailand and China. And we want to make that more efficient. Can we spend 30 minutes today? And can I pick your brain about this? Strategic advice. Okay. That's advice. Strategic work. Your company does supply chain management. And we actually are trying to find a vendor that can help us with our supply chain IoT out of China, right? Is this something that perhaps you can help me with your company? So like there's a difference between strategic advice and strategic work. Advice is asking them for advice, but work is actually partnership. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions around that? General networking. Hi, how are you? What's your LinkedIn? Right. So these are not the only ones, but I have found that these are really good ones. And again, oh, it's in the next time. But again, if you go into a mentor meeting with a plan, you'll stick out. Trust me, the bar is very low. Most people don't go in with a plan. If you do, you will stand out. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to the next slide. Some of this may seem like common sense, maybe like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But trust me, all right, implementation is key. Like really execute on this and you will stand out. So how do we achieve those goals? How do we achieve strategic advice? How do we achieve strategic work? How do we achieve fundraising referrals, client referrals? These are some ideas that mentors have shared with me that I've tried, right? These are just some things that I know, or I'm sorry, from my experience, there may be others. And I really want you all to kind of share with me as well. In the Fireside, I'm sure Jennifer and Alan will have their own. But these are some open ones for discussion. Okay. So, number 1, I like doing this a lot. Guide the mentor on how they can help you, right? So if you think about mentors, then they're very successful. That's probably why they're a mentor. But they're very successful probably in what they do. Like, so maybe they're really good engineering. Maybe they're VC, right? Maybe they are sales and marketing, right? But they're good in their function. They may not be great at everything in the world. And they may not be great at working with founders yet. Depends on the experience of the mentor. That gives you the opportunity to kind of set the tone of that mentor meeting. In the mock, well, we're going to do a mock. I can show you how to do number 1. But the idea is you can set the tone of a mentor meeting by asking, guiding the mentor on how they can help you. I found that to be really good. Mentors really, appreciate that, in my experience. Number 2, so Craig, oh yeah, this is another Austin VC, Moonshots. So Craig from Moonshots VC used to tell me this all the time. So this really, well, a lot of times, right, as founders, and you have a mentor meeting, especially the first mentor meeting, right? When you go into the first mentor meeting, 你很急, like you want stuff immediately, right? You want to get something out of that meeting, right? You want to show them everything you've got, your best impression, your best pitch, 10 seconds, 2 minutes, that's all you got. You're in your zone, your elevator pitch. But a lot of times VCs and also mentors, they've seen a lot. And Craig would tell me, JD, good session today, like good coffee. And remember, 2 dots make a dash, 3 dots make a line. So 2 dots means that we've met one time. And now I'm impressed by what you do and your company. So you're kind of like dashing in and dashing out, okay? But as a mentor, as a VC, as an investor, as an advisor, I want a sustained, repeated performance of this. I want you to follow up. I want to meet you again. I want to see that the next time you did what you said you were going to do, or maybe you asked me to do something and you held me accountable so that the next time when we meet, we have a good meeting, okay? The idea of this is that mentor meetings, it's not just one and done. It's a relationship, ideally, right? Ideally. I'll give you an example. WordPress. Everybody knows WordPress. A lot of people know WordPress. Do you know the company WP Engine, WordPress Engine? If you build on WordPress, there's a company called WordPress Engine. It's out of Austin, Texas. I still think it's a private company. It's $1 billion valuation now. But they power a lot of the server side on WordPress. Okay, that's what they do. And that mentor, her name is Heather Brenner. Heather Brenner. So Heather is a mentor at Austin Capital Factory. I booked her on the calendar. She comes in. She's the CEO of the company, right? And really, really smart, very nice person. And we have 30 minutes, and I don't know what I'm going to say to Heather. Like, she's the CEO of WP Engine. They're huge. I guess I could, tell her about my company. I was still fundraising at the time. I could do the normal stuff. But in my mind, I just kind of felt something different. Like in our get to know each other, right? I felt that she really put emphasis on connections and 2 dots make a line, 3 dots make a dash. So I thought of something, because that week I had listened to another founder who said that company culture was really important, right? It was somebody else in another session workshop, and he was talking about how defining your culture, company culture, was really, really important for your startup. And I was like, I didn't really understand that yet, right? Why company culture? So Facebook's got a culture, Google's got a culture, etc. So in that meeting, at the beginning, I just asked Heather, I said, one thing that I learned about this week, or heard about, was Jason Cohen talking about company culture. What do you think about that? And then so she reacted really well. And she was like, yeah, company culture, super important. And she told me about WP Engine, et cetera, et cetera. So then in my mind, right, I started thinking, well, I am working on company culture. And I asked Heather, and I said, Heather, do you mind if we spend today on my company core values? And then do you mind if we can do another meeting to continue this conversation? And she said, that's great, right? She said, I would love to do that. And so actually for the next 3 meetings, I booked her, the mentors at Capital Factory come in once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks. So I booked her the next 3 times, and she was like, don't use the calendar. I'll just schedule you, right? Because a lot of people want to talk to Heather. But over the next month, 2 months, we worked out my company's core values, and I had them on the wall for the next 2 years. And that was one thing that I always remember with Heather. And ever since then, she would remember that, working on that with me, right? And I use that because bringing a lot of these things together, you'll see repetition in these ideas. You want to create relationships with mentors. You want to find something that you can both work on. And for that, I could feel like that Heather did really care about core values. And so something that she liked, that she wanted to work on. I mean, I wanted to work on it, but she also wanted to work on it. And so we found something that we can work on together. 2 dots make a dash, 3 dots make a line. Number 3, I don't know if Jennifer Allen or Edgar, what you think about this, but as a founder, I will do this. I will name drop and I'll validate as much as I can, as fast as I can. I won't do it a lot. So do you guys know what name dropping is? Name dropping is like, there's a few ways, but like, oh yeah, on our board, Bill Clinton is on our board, by the way. That's a name up. Or like President Taiwan is on our board, right? That's a name drop. Just kind of just get it out of the way. Or you know, I saw you at this other event, and I also saw, you know, some famous person. Audrey Tang was also there, right? And I've spoken with Audrey Tang before. There's a good way to do it, and then there's probably a really annoying way to do it. Right? The good way to do it, what it does is it validates you a little bit, because you actually just have 30 minutes or you have an hour. And these mentors, if you think about what they're trying to do, they're trying to qualify you. They've never met you before. And so they're trying to go, this founder, what stage are they at? What experience level are they at? Do I know other people that know them, right? How can I tell if their product is good or not? Okay, and one of the things that is important to me is just to try and level that out and to say, okay, yeah, I know this person, I know that person. And then after that, go into some of the other goals that I want, right? Mentors, what do you, I'm kind of curious. What do you think about, you know, founder that comes in and is like, I know this person, or Edgar sent me over here, or blah, blah, blah. What do you think about that? Can you say that?
It's better if it's not too much.
What would be too much?
I can give you an example. So I'm kind of like running an accelerator in Cambodia right now. And one founder, he came in, he told me several name drops, including someone from Nike, but unfortunately my company is the biggest supplier of Nike. So I found out he actually didn't meet that person.
Oh,
So
okay.
try to be accurate and not too much about it. If you want to impress people, say something real.
Yes, well, definitely don't try and, thank you. Don't try and lie, right? President Taiwan is not on my board. I should not say that. I should not even imply that. I shouldn't be like, maybe president is on my board. No, like, she's not, so, right? But yeah, right. And there is a good one. Alan, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess for name dropping, my co-founder used to name drop a lot.
Okay.
It was effective, I would say, in terms of, like you said, you have to build trust quickly, and you only have that limited time. And so for us, it was a good way for him to validate himself socially and kind of provide some kind of proof for people. But you have to make sure that it's extremely relevant, and that it's not just something that you're mentioning out there, like maybe what we were talking about, just like if they're like tangentially related to what you're doing, and it's not really effective, it's kind of just like, yeah, it gets annoying.
Yeah.
So
or if you're lying, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Drops.
Yeah. But name drops are very relevant. I mean, if you do have President Taiwan on your board, then yeah.
You should tell people.
Exactly.
You shouldn't leave that to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of what you'll see tonight in what we talk about is think about it from the mentor's point of view, right? So like mentors are using their time, so they are also maybe coming from other meetings. They have a lot of things to do that day, and so they have to like switch in their mind. Okay, so busy now, new person. I have to network. I have to be social, and then meanwhile, mentors are also thinking, oh, I need to provide value. Like I need to give some advice. This person is coming to me for help or asking me for advice. Like what can I give advice on, right? And they're trying to quickly understand you, your business, your problems, and how they can help, right? So a lot of the things that I talk about are from my experience thinking, how can I make it easier for mentors so that we can have a good meeting together? Okay. Let's go to the next one. I love this one. I use this one all the time. Oh, well, I use this phrase a lot, right? And then executing it is a little bit harder. But if you ask for money, you will get advice. If you ask for advice, you may get money. Okay? Because here's how it goes. Hi, I'm JD. Nice to meet you. Can you introduce me to some Taiwan angels? Because we're in the hardware space. If you do that and you just ask for, are you writing checks right now? Right? Then the mentor, most likely, if they don't know your company, they're gonna say, tell me about your company. They're gonna try and understand your company. And when they do that, they're gonna give you advice on how to improve your company so that they'll write you a check. Okay? But if you go the other way and you come in and you say, my company's in IoT, my company's in bioengineering, right? Or chemical engineering, and I have this problem, maybe you could help me. Or what would you do in this situation? And then you start building the rapport and all of that. Then what happens is sometimes that mentor starts going, so are you fundraising right now? What stage are you at? Right? And then you can listen for some of those cues, so some clues. You know, another clue is, I know this or I know this VC firm that you should talk to. That's a good clue, right? I know this angel you should talk to. That's a good clue. Right? So if you ask for money, you'll get advice. But if you ask for advice, you'll get money. Sometimes I also talk about this like your rich uncle or your rich aunt, right? If you go to them and you're like, "Ai, right? Can you give me can you help me out? Can you send me to Europe?" Then she's gonna go, "Oh, why do you need to go to Europe? Right? What are you trying to study? Maybe you could study that at the library. Maybe you could just watch YouTube videos." But if you go to her and say, "Man, I really need to increase my knowledge of this, that, and I can only do it, right? If I can get that firsthand experience, what would you do in this situation?" Then maybe she would go, "Oh, no, you have to go to Europe. You can't learn that at the library. You have to go to Europe. Oh, you don't have money? It's okay. I'll give you money to go to Europe," right? So that type of idea. Ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. The next one. And by the way, after this, we're gonna go into some mock examples. So this is the main gist. That I don't want to give too much information, right, or too many techniques, because I want to show you some of these in action. So after this slide, Jennifer Allen and I are going to show you these in practice, okay? And then after that, we're gonna ask some people from the audience to come up, the people with companies, and I want you to try some of these things, okay? From people in the audience. I want you to just try it, see how it feels. So 2 more. I've said this already, but again, what's in it for the mentor? Think about it, okay? Like think about who they are, where they're from, what's in it for them. If they are a VP of engineering or sales, CIO, whatever, a lot of times in the US, actually I don't know about Taiwan, maybe it also is in Taiwan, but in the US, a lot of VPs, their executive team actually encourages them to join accelerators or to give mentor hours, right? It's not like a KPI, but it is something that their internal company will promote VPs to go and do. Some of it is actually about recruiting. So a lot of times in the US, VPs of engineering will go into accelerators or wherever, or schools, and give mentor hours because they're actually recruiting people, right? That's part of it. A lot of mentors also do invest in companies, so they are angels themselves. So you got to think about this mentor. Are they actively investing, right? Are they looking for a deal? Or are they there kind of volunteering their time? So you have to kind of think about what's in it for the mentor, right? In my experience, for me, it's okay to ask. Like, it's okay, I will, in a mentor meeting, ask, hey, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Why do you do mentor meetings? Share with me, like, I wouldn't say share with me, I would say, I would love to know, right? Why do you do mentor meetings? And then they may tell you some things, and then you can kind of think about that. Thomas, I know you've had a lot of mentor meetings.
Yes.
What's your kind of feedback and your experience on any of these points? I saw you shake or nodding your head. That was my clue.
I think it's quite important to prepare
Okay.
for the mentor meeting. Yeah.
How do you prepare? How would you prepare?
Maybe on what I want to achieve. What's my goal? Right.
What typically is your goal in your like when you go meet? Actually, first tell us what you do. We don't know what you do.
G9 is a biotech healthcare market research and media company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So you publish, you have media on the web about
What's going on the
Biology?
healthcare, biotech.
Yeah.
We do a lot of interviews for key opinion leaders. So we do land jobs.
Okay, so that's one technique that you do.
Yes.
What's another technique? What's another one of these that you would do?
We ask for money or advice. We do both.
You ask for both advice and money?
Yeah.
How many times when you ask for money do you get the money?
But we, it can be different when one is sales, one is for investor, right?
Sure. Yep. Yep.
But for sales, I don't always just ask for money.
Okay.
I provide them a solution.
In a mentor meeting, right?
No, it's not mentor meeting. Okay, maybe not. Mentor meeting is okay. My friend VC, so I told him, okay, we are going to race, and then maybe he can give us some advice for how we can grow faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he will give us a lot of different thoughts on the roadmap and how to scale, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and how to execute and how to do it faster.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, sometimes I think that's how they see it, or how on the operation and execution side is a gap. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to share real quick? Your mentor meetings? Daniel? Have you done mentor meetings?
I have a business coach.
You have a business coach. Oh,
Yeah. I didn't prepare this. So, yeah, so we have a coach, business coach that we meet every quarter. And basically, before the meeting, we prepare an agenda with topics that we want to discuss. And we're usually very straight to the point. So he's also a very straightforward guy. And yeah, I mean, he gets paid for his time, so I'm not sure how much of the mentor meeting is compared to what you're describing, JD, right? But I still think there's a lot of value. Absolutely.
yeah. Thank you. Sure. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get into some of the mocks, okay? Before we do this last one, okay, I do wanna talk about this last one, because I actually think this last one is obviously important, but it's not one that a lot of people talk about. For me, I do want to prepare also the mentor, not for just the meeting itself, but for how but for how they talk about you to other people, or your company to other people. You can prepare them for the takeaway story. All right, there's a lot of ways to do this. You could do it indirect, you could do it direct, but this is really important. When that mentor spends that time and they go back to their office, to their team, to their VC partners, right, whatever, they're gonna say something about you, hopefully, or else they're like, whatever, I don't even remember what I just did. But they're gonna say something about you, your company, or your story. And if you can prepare that for them and make it easy, obviously they, support it or whatever, agree with it, then this is a really big win for you. So for example, at the end of mentor meetings, you can say, we talked about a lot today. You could, I will say, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to meeting with you again. I know that, we're gonna try and meet, March the 15th, right? Or March the 9th for coffee again. Thank you so much for your time. We talked about go-to-market strategies. And just in case, you get really busy, I wanna share with you 2 important things about our time today. Number 1, my company does X, Y, and Z. And number 2, right, what we talked about was figuring out CAC, cost of customer acquisition today. And you gave me the great idea of going to workshops like this to try and meet new people. I'm gonna really try and use that idea. So I'll see you next week or next month, right? So you can prepare some of this takeaway story. And if you prepare that, you save them the time of having to figure out when they go back to that office, they're gonna say, hey, Jennifer, what did you think about that company that you met with, right? You can save them the time of trying to figure it out themselves. So think about that. Okay, so next we're gonna do some examples. So let's welcome, I'm gonna bring up a couple of chairs, and we're gonna show you a good example and a bad example. Maybe can you help me with that chair? Okay. Actually, we don't. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so who's ready? We're gonna do that stretch one more time. The one I taught you. Okay, one hand, remember. All right, let's do the right hand. Everybody stretch up, stretch up. Okay, stretch, stretch, stretch. Okay, you can put that down. I'm gonna stretch with the other hand. Okay, everybody stretch, stretch, stretch. Okay, remember, this is not just a stretch, this is how you ask questions. Okay, so Jennifer, do you mind coming up here? And we're gonna do this again, we're gonna do it pretty quickly. And then after this, it's, you're here, you're giving your time tonight, or you're spending time with us so that you can take away value to go home with. So at the end of this, I hope that you'll come up and try it. Okay, practice makes perfect. Okay, so, hi Jennifer, how are you?
Very nice.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna try out a battle. Okay, let me think. I'm gonna show you the next slide. There are 3 examples of a bad mentor meeting. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for doing this. And I'm just gonna walk through it, okay? So, from my experience, in a 30-minute meeting, founders are nervous. I don't know what to do, right? Jennifer's here. She's so smart. She runs an accelerator. I want to get into that accelerator.
I'm the kind of very annoying mentor that I normally don't open up.
Oh.
Like I stay quiet.
Oh no, you're the worst. Yeah. Yes, you're the worst. I don't know what to do with that. Yeah, yeah, especially as an early founder. Okay. So here's what happens. So let's do the first one. So we're sitting down, we have our coffee. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for meeting me today.
You're welcome.
Maybe I can tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so I'm JD, and I was born in Taiwan, and then when I was 6, my family moved to the United States, and we first moved to Georgia. Yeah, we moved to Georgia, and then we moved to Texas after that. So I have a sister, and in Texas, you know, when I grow up, I really liked engineering, so I enrolled in a lot of classes. So, you know, my co-founder and I, we're engineers, so we're an engineering background. And so, you know, like I went to college and I got a computer science degree. And then after that, I went to Berkeley. So maybe a name drop there, right? So I went to Berkeley where I met my co-founder, right? We actually were in the same roommates in the same freshman dorm, okay? And I won't continue this, but you'll see I do this because I'm nervous and I don't know what to do next. And I started with, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And I ended with, my mind can't stop telling you about my life story. And somewhere this is going to end in telling you why I started this company, hopefully, right?
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes. And meanwhile, Jennifer, what are you thinking when I do this? What are you thinking?
I was trying to give you some hints that you should stop right now because I'm like not listening at all already. So try to pick up the hint.
How many, in your experience, how often does this happen?
35 to 40%.
Wow, right?
Yeah, and again, I'm the type of nasty mentor that I try to allow people to speak whatever they want to speak.
Yeah.
Because that's somehow a way for me to fully understand what type of the founder is this person in front of.
Right.
If I don't guide them, if I don't stop them, how long will they go? You know?
Oh man, you have a lot of patience.
Yeah, I give you a free, like 2-hour freestyle of speech. And then I have my own conclusion if this is the type of founder that I can support.
And after 2 hours, we never talk again. Right. But everybody, right? And again, like we're not picking on any. Well, I'm not picking on anybody. But I am presenting scenarios that we probably have all been a part of. I know I have been a part of, right? So that's number one. Has anybody been in that position? Have you ever been in a mentor meeting where you just ramble on about your life? Yes? Okay, all right. One brave person who has said that he has, okay? So think about that the next time. Let's do the second one, okay? The second one is a little bit different than the first one. The first one is I just ramble about my life for a long, long time. The second one is I ramble about my company for a long, long time. There's a lot of reasons why this can happen. Some of it is because maybe you don't know how to talk about your company. Okay, so maybe it is like you haven't practiced enough to quickly talk about your company. So you just go up and down and up and down. Well, let's try it. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh man, those eyes. No, I'm like, okay, I want to tell you about my life. Okay, thanks. Thank you for taking the time today. Maybe I can tell you about my company. Okay. Yeah, so my company is AI sales lead generator. We build on top of Salesforce. And so we will pull database information through an API to put into Salesforce. And right now in Salesforce, there is a lot of investment into AI, especially on the sales generation side. So there's one thing that Salesforce has done in the last few years, and it's called Einstein. Einstein is the AI layer that runs underneath everything. So AI, right, as you probably know, right, is a lot of data into machine learning. And so what Salesforce is doing is it's accumulating the whole world of data and.
So how about the company's target audience?
Oh yeah, okay, great. We're new to the market, and so we're looking for our first few clients. So I would say like we're in the alpha phase or maybe the beta phase. But I have 10 engineers in my company, right? And blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna take a pause, okay? So two quick things there. What I wanted to show is that when you go into that mentor meeting, okay, it's good to talk about your company. You need to like explain to them what your company does. But a lot of times, especially with people that build the product or engineers that build the product, a lot of times you just jump into very detailed questions or scenarios or situations immediately. And you don't give the mentor some time to just understand what you're saying, right? You go from my company's sales lead generator on AI all the way into, you know, Einstein, which is the real thing, and the implementation of Einstein across community events and global objects, right? You could go for a long, long time. And then same thing, right? For Jennifer, you know, she may not even have this background. Like she may not come from sales or AI. She may focus on hardware or fintech. And so now she's just sitting there. Now Jennifer, you did a really nice thing there. What did you do?
Try to pull you back to where you should talk to.
Yes, yeah, right. What advice would you give to founders who do a lot of talk about over detail about their company too early?
Really good question, because I figure sometimes a lot of mentors or people, because I'm from a finance background, so people from finance industry like to cut people.
Okay.
Like it is
Like
sometimes,
cut them off?
yes, very hard for you to complete the whole sentence without being cut by people from DC or maybe that's exactly because they experience too many these kind of situations that if they don't cut and ask exactly what they want to hear,
yeah,
the other person in front of them speaking will keep going on and on and on. Yeah, so try to pause and listen to why the mentors are asking you questions and what exactly they're asking for. So maybe you can understand that maybe they have something in their mind that they are anticipating to hear, and try to shift the topic a little bit towards that direction. Yeah, sometimes, but I have to say some people are just rude. They have to, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let's do that third one. Okay, so here's the one that everybody does. Most founders do this. A lot of early stage founders do this. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi. Hi, Jennifer. I'm JD. Nice to meet you. I want to tell you a little bit about my company. Okay, so we are a sales lead generator on AI, and we work with Salesforce, and we're early stage. We just went through SparkLabs, so great accelerator. Yeah, we did our demo. Yes, yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Great accelerator. We did our demo day. Yeah. You know, I would love to get your feedback. How do we raise our angel round?
Can you share a little bit more about your company for me?
Yeah. So, you know, so we build AI solutions, right, for companies to use our dashboard, right, to pull out insights and everything. But, you know, we're really trying to close this round. And so we're trying to close this seed round. We're raising $500,000. and we have a third of the round closed. And I was wondering, do you know anybody in Taiwan that's investing right now?
I need to know you like, more to recommend to anyone I know in my network.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well then, maybe I'll tell you a little bit more about my company. Okay. Okay. So, anyways, that is an example, right, of you. You're jumping into ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, get money situation. Okay. So a lot of times, and I will say, like, when I went through the accelerator, by the way, for founders, when I went through the accelerator, I constantly heard this, and it took me a little while to understand not to do it. So when I went through the accelerators, I constantly did hear advisors, mentors, people say, you've got to ask. You've got to tell them that you're fundraising and you're asked, and you have to be very solid about maybe your deal terms. Like, you have to know it, right? And so early in when I was going through the accelerator, I would do a lot of stuff like that. I would try and qualify you, right? Or I would try and see if you know other people that you can refer me to. That's not a bad thing, but it is bad if that is very clearly the focus of why I asked for your time today. Okay? Does everybody, think, or anybody have any feedback on that? Experience with that? Edgar, what do you think about this? If you have some insight you want to share with us. Mentor meetings and asking for money too quickly.
I think basically you need to, because the reason why every startup needs to survive, because that's the reason why they need to raise capital, right? Yeah. But I think it's more about what do you need this money for? Sure. So for investor or any kind of angel investor, they would better want to understand your vision, and also what's your next milestone, and also what kind of the resource that you need. And capital should be just one of them. Yeah. So it's better to using maybe 5 or 7 sentences to describe what's your vision, what's your next milestone, what kind of resource you need, and including capital. Yeah. And then we'll say, like, I've tried this and that, but it seems doesn't work. So anything that you suggest me to improve. So I think showing the effort that you already put in some, like some decent time, yeah, regarding fundraising, that will help the mentors want to help you because you already done something, even though that's like good or bad. Or you can say, we already find the lead investor, or there's a lot of people showing the interest, but we just cannot close it. Right. So it's better to describe that the situation, also the challenge that you are facing, in terms of, like, just like fundraising 101. Right. Yeah. Right. Or fundraising for dummies. Yeah. Fundraising for dummies. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, in that example that I gave, which is a little bit to Edgar's point, I gave no context. And a lot of times, when I've been a mentor, a lot of founders actually do this. They will give no context other than, we're raising a round, and can you give me advice on how to close that round or how to close my round? And that's not enough context, which is what Jennifer is saying. She is saying, can you tell me more about your company? That would be different than probably what Edgar is saying, which is, we're a seed stage company. We've been around for 6 months. We went through the accelerator. We have 50 paying clients. We are in a current fundraising round. We have a lead investor. We have a third of the round open. And one thing that I'm struggling with is finding enough hardware-centric VCs or family offices. I tried to reach out on Crunchbase, but I can't find a lot of people in Taiwan, right? Like, if you give that whole context, then I don't know. Does that sound better?
But still, when you are asking the mentors to consider to invest in you or consider to introduce you to their network, you can imagine they have to recommend you to their own network. So if they cannot guarantee that they already know you, they know you are a good company, great opportunity, why should they risk their own reputation to recommend you to their network? So first thing first is still you need to help them to know you are right target that they can difference. Yeah. So try to impress them. That's still the most important thing.
Yeah, yep. It's that relationship, and it goes back to a few of these slides, and like that last one, I really do think that last one is important. You know, if we just met today, then at the end I can not prepare, but I can suggest to you what you can say about me to other people, right? Or say about my company or my product to other people. Okay, let's give Jennifer a big round of applause. Yeah. Everybody will have time to ask some questions in the fireside, which is after this portion. Okay, let's jump right into the good ones then. So Alan, do you want to come on up? And we'll have time for them to give their intro. I realize, Jennifer, we didn't get to know you, but during the fireside, we'll do the introductions.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up, like, another bad thing is not knowing much about the mentor.
Yeah, okay, can you elaborate on that?
Basically, if you're only asking generalized questions towards the mentor, you're not really utilizing them to the fullest aspect. So,
Right.
like, if you were coming to me, I'd be able to give technical advice, fundraising, etc. But if you were asking about fashion, then I wouldn't know anything about that. So, yeah, I think that was one of the other things that I would definitely say is like a would constitute that mentor meeting.
Yeah, like if you're just completely mismatched, right? And sometimes that will happen. Like for example, you know, Alan, he can talk about you know, so Amazon, right? And so he can talk about a lot of infrastructure type of stuff. But let's say that you are a fashion tech business, or you know, maybe you're something very out of what you know of his space. It would not be great to come into this mentor meeting and ask him to solve your fashion editorial problem because it's mismatched, right? It's mismatched. Okay, so let's do the good one. And the good one is there's a lot of ways to do good meetings, right? And to get value out of good meetings. This is one methodology. It's not the only way, of course, but it's one methodology that we'll just quickly run. Okay, and again, after this, people from the audience can come up and try some things. Okay, so let me quickly run through it, and then we'll just walk through it as well. I would, in a 30-minute meeting, I would probably allot 2-3 minutes to get to know each other, right? That is important, like that's respectful to get to know the other person. But no, not too much more, but like maybe like a few minutes. And then I would, you know, most of the time, I would actually run an agenda. I would actually, it may not need to be very formal, but I would say, hey, thank you for your time today. Today, I would like to share with you my business for a few minutes. And then there's one thing that we're working on. And I know your background, and maybe I can get some advice from you, right? And then at the end of this, if there's an opportunity for us to meet again, we'd love to meet again. Like it could be as simple as that, right? But that's setting an agenda, right? And then I would quickly describe the situation. I would describe the scenario. I wouldn't spend 15, 20 minutes on it. At least I wouldn't spend 15, 20 minutes without stopping. Like I would quickly describe the situation, and then I would give Alan some points where he can give me some feedback. Is this what he wants to talk about, or is this not? Okay, but I would describe the situation for like 5 minutes, and then I would ask questions and then listen, which is really important, right? I would ask questions and I would listen to his feedback. Whether or not I agree with it, I would still listen because that mentor is spending time and you're there for their feedback and their advice, and that's valuable. And then in my mind, I'm always hoping to find something that we can work on together. It could be something small or it could be something big, but I do kind of want this mentor meeting not just to be, even if I run this agenda, not just to be, hi, I'm JD, here's my company, Alan, what he does, advice, and then we both, right? Like that's not the best mentor meeting. It's not a horrible one. It's not as bad as like my life story for 20 minutes, right? But it's not the best mentor meeting. I actually would want to try and brainstorm something together, even if it's small. And then at the end, of course, summarize and then do some next steps on the next time that we would meet again or the next thing. Okay, let's do this real quick. Okay. So hi.
Hi there.
Hey, Alan, how's it going?
It's good, good. It's great to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thanks for having coffee with me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. What can I help you with today?
Well, so I wanted to introduce myself to you. Probably spend a couple minutes there. I see that you're at Amazon. Are you from the States?
Yes, I was actually born in Texas, and I stayed in between Taiwan and between California for. How about yourself?
I grew up in Texas. Where in Texas?
Austin.
Oh,
Austin,
yeah, okay.
Houston. Yeah.
Oh,
around that
cool.
area, Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bay Area as well.
Nice. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Austin.
Great city.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Love the city. A lot of rolling hills. Well, yeah, like I said, thank you for your time. And maybe I can talk about my company for a couple minutes. There's one thing that we're working on. Having to do with AWS, right? Web servers. I don't know if you are the right person, but maybe I can just ask you, maybe you can point me in the right direction. So my company builds we're lead generation service platform building on top of AI, and we connect to Salesforce, right? And so we do it seamlessly for our clients, our customers. And one thing that we are considering is moving from Azure to AWS. And my CTO is working on, blah, 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 this problem. Is this something that you're familiar with?
Yes, that's my job.
Cool. I did my homework well.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of ways for you to move over to AWS. And I definitely like to understand kind of like what are your biggest challenges, what's your motivation for wanting to move to AWS in the first place, and also kind of understanding what further are you seeking, what other kind of value adds are you seeking outside of just purely technical aspects.
Well, so one thing that we talked about, obviously price, or cost is big. But one thing that my CTO really talks about is technical debt. Where we want to scale, where we want to go further. We think that AWS, we think the latency from the US over here to Asia, where we want to expand, is going to be better if we scale on AWS instead of Azure. And even more specifically, he talks about this. And I'm not going to bore everybody with this, but here's where I can get real deep into like maybe a technical question, because Alan has verified that this is an area that you're an expert in, and then so far he has not told me I'm bored or don't talk to me about, or what else about your company can I help with. He hasn't given me any of those signals, so at this point maybe I can dive really deep, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think from my side, and I actually just had a meeting today with one of the foundations, and they're a foundation of a large company, and they were coming to us to kind of ask for advice. And kind of one of the things that I'm looking for as a mentor is to specifically look for action items that I could do to help out and not just waste everybody's time. So what are kind of like, right after that specific meeting, I wrote down number one, who I can introduce them to. They wanted to look for a content marketer. Then I looked for a content marketer in my network. Advise them in terms of how to do market validation, introduce like a really good book on market validation. Okay. And the third thing was, I forgot what the third thing was, but anyways, there's a very clear action item step of what are the next steps and how can I immediately help this person, and how can they leverage kind of either my network or my knowledge in order to further their agenda. And yeah, there was a lot of brainstorming in that session as well.
Yeah, okay, so then if we jump a little bit to, kind of the bottom, right? So like, maybe we're talking about AWS now, right? Maybe you have a great answer for my technical debt question. And at this point, maybe I would say like, well, Alan, that's exactly what we were talking about today or this week with my engineering team. So we only have like 5 minutes left in the coffee, and thank you so much. This has been very valuable of the time. Hey, so I want to ask you, like, how do you typically work with founders like me? Like, I feel like, really got some valuable information, but can you help me understand, like, how do you want to work with founders like me?
Generally for, I think very effective mentorship sessions are kind of, we have a framework called 3 cups of tea, where you basically meet them first. You don't want to get everything done in one meeting, right? That's not going to be efficient.
Okay.
So you want them to be able to work with you over a span of several times. And your second times, you can kind of shift between the casual and the professional talk. Maybe the first talk is kind of more casual, and then the second talk is going to be a little bit more professional, and the third talk is very professional. And so back to your question in terms of how I'd like to establish, if I were really serious about this mentorship, then I'd try to establish a relationship with you, and I hope that you would try to do the same thing with me. And in that way because the human component of the mentorship and the mentee aspect cannot be understated. And if I'm rooting for you and you're giving me a reason to root for you, and if I can find a way and definitely if you can find a way for you to align your interests with what my interests are, maybe my interests are in really, like today, just to bring up today's example again, the foundation was trying to find out how they could further benefit NPOs, nonprofits.
Okay.
So it could either have been disaster relief for like the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, or helping out with the war effort in Ukraine and things like that. That's something that I'm personally really passionate about, and so I would actually dedicate or even volunteer my time in order to help with something like that. So I think it really helps to really align with the mentor's interests and see what they're interested in and what they resonate with. And then if you can find that point, then you can keep on drilling down on that point.
Right. I'm going to go back to that other, I'm going to finish this slide and then go back to the techniques, because I think you covered like 2 or 3 of them, right? So let's say that at this point, we did talk about NPOs or maybe ways to work together. So then I would recap that. And then I would say, just to finish this out, I would say, wow, thanks so much for the time. Could we meet again? Like, I really think that you'd be a great mentor to us, especially to me. And how about next Thursday, same time? Sure. Okay, cool. Well, I'll send you a calendar invite. Between now and next Thursday, if you forget, our meeting or anything, just remember, right? We're the company that we do sales automation on Einstein, and we are tackling future technical debt, right? And so maybe next Thursday, I can bring my CTO, and we can talk about that migration plan that you suggested.
Sounds good.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, cool. So thank you so much, Alan. All right. Anybody have any thoughts or feedback on that one? Okay. Remember that stretch that we did before? Okay. I'm gonna call on somebody. I'm gonna call on first row, ma'am. What's your name? Xiaowei. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any feedback from your experience or anything? It's okay to say no. Okay, no worries, no worries. How about anybody in the back? Yes, yeah. Tell us your name and maybe what you do.
First of all, thank JD, Jennifer, and Ellen for your kind sharing and such a inspiring scenario simulation. And my name is Rich. Currently, I'm at the transition of my career, exploring the next chapter of my career right and I put more emphasis on startup accelerator or climate tech fields. Okay. Because I used to be an entrepreneur in that field. And one big takeaway I learned from this scenario simulation is agenda. I believe agenda is really essential to help both mentor and mentee on the same page and set up the consensus of the expectation. So definitely we need to do a lot of homework beforehand, and also always remember to follow up after this meeting. But agenda is, I think, the most crucial one, and to save our time and realize what we are going to do. And like the typical 5W2H principle is also important. Yeah, so thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? We're gonna do some audience participation here real quick. But to the agenda, by the way, like agenda can be very formal or it can be very informal. I generally like to do informal agendas, even like that. Like I would say, oh, maybe I can spend a couple minutes just describing my company, and then we are working on a problem, and then maybe I can ask you for your advice on that problem. I just listed the agenda of the meeting, right? Or it actually can be one of my sales advisors, my VPs. He used to bring the briefcase. He literally used to print out the agenda, and then he would, hand it to you. I would have it 2 copies, and then he would say, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, what we're going to talk about. Like it could be formal or it could be informal. But that agenda, like Rich saying, it's kind of a plan. It's kind of a plan for that time. Right? Yes, yeah, Thomas.
All right. I think I just like to resonate what Rich was saying. I think it's good to let your mentor know ahead of time what you might talk about, because sometimes mentor has also we meet today, so what we're gonna talk about. Right. And you don't want to be like, oh, nothing, we just gonna chit chat. And that's probably not a good way. But if you have maybe some ideas, doesn't have to be very formal, but let them know ahead of time so they can think about it before the conversation, then I think it will be much more helpful.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Yeah, why don't you guys keep that one, and then we'll use this one up here. So, Alan, you talked about what's in it for the mentor, right? So Alan has KPIs or he has initiatives that he wants to do. So you talked about that. You also talked about almost 2 dots make a dash, 2 dots make a line, right? So like you called it 3 cups of coffee, right? And maybe you can explain that a little bit later. But it's the same idea of like relationship building. And then ask for advice, get money, ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, get money. Okay, cool. So let's do audience participant. Anybody have the time? What's the time? Okay, great. So we're gonna do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes of audience participation. We'll jump right into the fireside. Okay. Thank you, Alan, so much. Okay. So who's going to be the first audience participation? Anybody? Yes, okay. Tell us your name, and we're gonna do this Yeah, please.
My name is Wei.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wei Ting. Since this year, I hand over my insurance company. We helping Taiwanese dog groomer to connect with the Australian pet salon. So we kind of like human angels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you help. Wait, tell us what is it?
Groomer is a 宠物美容师. We cutting a dog hair. Yeah, it's our business. I'm a dog groomer too.
Your dog.
Yeah, I have my own studio. Also, I doing that business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, and have you had mentor meetings before? What's your experience with mentor meetings?
I haven't had a really serious mentor meeting, but because I'm a friend of Jennifer
Okay.
and Lily, so we had a dinner just last month.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we just met here, and I just realized our conversation is similar like.
Your mentor meeting.
Yes, because I know she doing her business, and I have interest in with I'm just new for the business, so I asked a lot of questions to her. Yeah. So
you're a pretty new founder, right? Like
yes,
in
I'm
experience level. you're
from
pretty
this
new
year.
founder. Oh, from
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everybody, let's give her. This is lady. Okay. Well, let's try this. So no pressure. Let's try this. These are some of the suggestions, right? Techniques. Okay. We'll probably go for like 2-3 minutes, and we'll just get started. Okay. So let's say we're at a coffee shop. Okay. Go ahead.
So should I ask you what
It's up to you. Let's see. And in fact, let's make this real. So let's stand up. Here's the coffee table.
Yeah.
Okay. We both have our coffee. Okay. We have our coffee. So we can come.
So you are a mentor.
I'm the mentor.
Oh, okay.
I'm the mentor. You can be the mentor. I can do this too.
I can't modify nature acts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
okay.
And so I would suggest that using some of the techniques,
Yes.
prepare me, right? Do a quick agenda, prepare me. You can use any of these techniques. Don't feel like you need to use all of them. In fact, just choose 1 or 2.
Yeah, okay.
Are you ready to have your coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
So, hi, my name is
Hi.
Wei.
Oh, hi,
Nice to meet
Wei.
you.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
JD.
Okay, because I know you is an engineer and you know a lot about technology.
Mhm.
So my business is not about technology. Okay. My company is person groomer.
Okay.
So our company helping Taiwanese groomer to connect with Australian salon.
Okay.
So I connect with Taiwanese groomer, also Australian business shop.
Okay.
So what I want to ask you is, we have an idea if we can use the technology to help us to let our human connect work,
Okay.
because sometimes we have to message to the Taiwanese groomer, also the shop, and it's kind of spend a lot of time to email to each other.
Okay.
So I would like to ask you, do you have any software can help me to connect Australian salon and Taiwanese groomer automatically, like AI? That's our idea, but I don't know any about technology, so I want to ask you some advice.
Okay.
Do you know anything about it?
Let me think. Okay, let me think about it. So great. Everybody, let's give Wei-Ting a round of applause. So let me recap what happened, and then we can talk about it, right? And anybody can raise your hand. So let's go to wait. So we sat down, and I'm going to give you some critique, okay, good and bad, and then we can all share. So what was great is you told me about your company. You had a problem that you were working on, and then you asked me about that problem, right? So all of that is really good. I felt that probably because you're doing this in front of so many people.
Nervous.
Yeah, I felt that you were a little bit nervous, right? Which is okay. Okay. I would suggest that in this time, that if you go back to like this format, right? Again, a lot of times mentor meetings are because you're very nervous, because the founder is very nervous. But like when we sat down, you asked me my name, and then, but you didn't let me tell you about anything else about me, right? So we didn't do the small talk. Now you did give a little bit about your company and a problem that you're working on, but you could say that I'm going to tell you about my company, and then I have a problem that we're working on. Is that okay with you? And that kind of sets the mood and the tone for this. And as you go through your, and as you go through your company description, right? One thing that you could do is, do you have any experience, right? Do you have any experience with grooming or Australian market, right? Because if you don't do that, then suddenly, like right at the end, you ask me, do I know connected platforms for grooming between Australia and Taiwan? And I don't know that. Yeah, and so then at that point, I'm kind of, I don't know what to say, right? Like, I don't know, yeah. If you're okay, let's try one more time. Okay, same thing, so now you did it once.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that out of your system. Let's try it one more time. Same content. 内容是一样的, okay? But maybe try a couple of these things. Okay. Well, we'll start again. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. If you need a few minutes to think, that's fine. Well, we'll start whenever you're ready. Okay, great. You got your coffee?
Yes.
What are you drinking?
Black coffee.
Black coffee?
Yeah.
Okay, me too. Okay. All right, let's go.
Hi, my name is Wei Ting. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Wei Ting. I'm JD. Nice to meet you.
Tell me more about yourself.
Yeah. So I am here from SparkLabs. I'm a mentor at SparkLabs. So I like talking to early stage companies. My focus is sales and BD.
So let me talk about my business a little bit.
Okay.
Yes. So my company is Boston Groomers.
Okay.
We are helping Taiwanese groomer to connect with Australian salon, and I am a groomer too.
Okay.
So
You can. I would suggest here you can take a pause and just see if I connect with this.
oh, okay.
So maybe you can say like, do you know what grooming is?
Do you know what grooming is?
No, I don't. What's grooming?
So we cut the dog.
Oh,
hairs.
grooming. Got it.
Grooming, yes. So do you
Ah,
like dog?
I love dogs.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I love dogs. Yes.
So do you know any business about grooming before?
Actually, yeah, my friends in the US, they all have pets and they spend a lot of money washing dogs, right?
Oh, yes.
And cutting dogs' hairs. Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to work in Japan and Australia, and every country about grooming way is different. So I also curious about like your friends' way to do business.
Yeah. They do a lot of shampoo, and I know every month they take the dogs in,
Yeah.
and then it smells really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because our company is more like human agency to help Taiwanese groomer and Australian salon to connect each other.
Okay.
So far we are like just me, like our company only one person.
Oh,
only me.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I help them to connect each other, but my problem is I always have a lot of questions and message to each other.
Uh-huh.
I am looking for a way to find like technology way to help me to like replay them automatically or help them to connect each other.
Oh, like kind of like a bot, or well, not a bot, but like a auto replier or auto responder or something like that.
Yes, but more like can help them to contact each other.
Contact each
without-
other. Oh, without you.
Yes.
Oh, connect them to each other.
Yes.
Oh, I get it. I understand what you're doing
And I
now.
can, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's one.
Yeah, I know somebody who runs a company that may be able to help.
Oh,
Yeah, I can connect you with them.
What type of company is that?
I don't really know, but yeah, at that point, I know somebody that, right? And so now we're in a conversation, right? And so now we're really kind of talking about it. Okay, but I understand what you mean now.
Oh,
Okay, all right, everybody, let's give Beijing a round of applause. So, how was that? Did that feel better the second time?
Yeah, I feel second time is more like a conversation. It's not like, because I think my first time, my intention was to straight away to want to know my answer.
Yeah.
Well, the answer what I want.
Yeah.
But the second time is more like, just know each other more
Right.
and see what we can connect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And honestly, the second time, I was able to follow what you were saying.
Mm.
The first time, it probably was just too much, all at once, and a lot of words that I didn't really understand immediately, like Rumi. So I really kind of, just got lost. But the second time, I was able to follow it better.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. That's okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Okay, we're gonna do one more, and we'll have to take a 5-minute break. We'll do the fireside. But I would like to see if anybody can come up and do. Oh no, can we? Can anybody come up? And do the. Can we do the prepare the mentor takeaway story? Did anybody feel good enough? We'll just jump right to the end, and then can somebody prepare, do this technique? Anyone try? Come on, somebody's got to try. Who's a founder? Raise your hand if you're a founder. All right, Tom, let's go. Oh, wait, no. Will you try?
Speak in Chinese. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Speak in Chinese is okay. You speak in Chinese. I'll translate what you say in Chinese, and then I'll respond in English as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right, please. 那你名字是
Vince.
Vince. Okay. 那 Vince, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name is Vince, and 我有讲中文好。
中文好。OK。
然后我有开了一个投资公司，然后我们主要就是投资以现金流为主的生意，这样子。
现金流为主的生意。对。那是什么意思？So he has a investment firm, right? And then you're investing in.
就是我们可能70%会是在次级市场，然后就是上市柜公司，然后30%会在初级市场。然后我们锁定的事情是可能在6到7年，它有护城河，但是从现金流非常猛的。
Lily, come on. Lily,
It's difficult for me too.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Tell us in English really quick. Yeah. Or simply.
不要太多的。
对，那你再说一次。你说你们70%。
我们70%是投资上市柜的公司。
哦，上市柜的公司。So your investment firm invests 70% in public companies.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So we do long brochure also.
Oh, okay.
And the 30% we invest in business that good cash flow.
Good cash flow businesses. So like services business you'll do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So lately I saw露营公司。
Oh, glamping. Oh yeah, camping, glamping.
Because yeah, you say.
You can. Let's try it. Okay, let's just try it, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. So what we'll do now is just the end of the mentor session. 我们就直接跳到尾巴，好不好？然后重点是看你可不可以给我你的 takeaway story。OK， 帮我准备一下你的 takeaway story。也可以，故事也可以。OK， alright, let's try. OK。
So 通常就是投资大概2分3步骤。然后第1步骤就是我们怎么去定义这个东西是好生意。那好生意怎么看呢？大概当然他讲很长的话，会有很多东西，但是大概可以分成2个。第一个就是它的本质是什么，就是他在别人的眼中是做什么样的生意。然后第2个是他靠什么赚钱。举例来讲，就是华纳维修，大家会想到电影院。 那可电影院是他的本职生意，但他实际上赚钱的是爆米花跟饮料。所以如果今天你去华纳秀看电影的时候，他的电影让你感受到不好，你就不会去，那后面的生意就赚不到。那实际上可能从 A 到 B 它本身是有一个链接的。举例来说，看电影跟吃爆米花，你应该是本身是不直觉或者是不等价的。但这件事情他为了要让这件事情变成一个好的 business， 可能在很早期的美国影集里面，我们会看到他在看电影的时候都会配爆米花，他就要让你去联想这个直觉。但为什么是爆米花呢？就是大家如果去细想的话，可能如果从波卡来讲，波卡如果他卖的是高毛利，基本上你就在 7-Eleven 就先买，所以他需要那个东西会到现场的时候才愿意买，所以他热的时候好吃，冷的时候不好吃，所以他会选择去做爆米花。那这个东西就是我们可能第一个算是有好现金流的生意，但是他遇到一些破坏式创新的，像 Netflix， 当然就会去影响到他的生意。那这个就是我们可能比较难预料的。那我们公司就是在锁定这方面的生意。然后第二个的部分的话，就是如果它本身是一个好的生意，那这个就是 A 哥很厉害的地方，就是说它是一个好的生意，然后他这个founder也知道自己是一个好的生意，那为什么他要让你投资？基本上就是你需要有就是增加一些价值或者是一些链接，提供一些 value 给他。然后第三块的话，就是我觉得初级市场一个比较有趣的地方，当然它可能流动性相对次级市场还没有那么好，但是如果今天这种生意它的合理价值是50块，你可以用40块投资它，在账面上你就已经得有25%的收入，所以它是比次级市场要来的更有趣的地方。我们公司可能主要就是在做这3块，对，大概是我们公司在做的事情。
好，了解。那因为你现在讲的是蛮长的啊，对，说到我会建议的话，the takeaway，OK，那你刚刚说3个嘛，对不对？3个东西，那你有很多，就用爆米花就好。你就说，哎，那我们要是你可以，那因为我的中文也没有那么好，那我现在可能要用一下中文去表达我的意思。那我可以说，那今天 Vince 我们，比如说要是你是 mentor， 然后我是你，然后我是你的公司，我可能会说，哎，那 Vince 谢谢你今天的时间，然后就我们的公司是投资，我们用这个3个方案的投资，但是我们下次再讨论的时候，你就可以回想到我刚刚讲那个爆米花的故事。That's it. And then that's the takeaway, right? 所以那当然你有讲很多东西，但是可能你讲到一个 example 一个例子嘛，爆米花。那我的意思就是，哎，我讲3个方案，然后某一个是爆米花。好，那下次你记得我的时候 ，yeah, popcorn, yeah, that's right. OK. 那你回去你跟你公司里面别的 mentor 提的时候，你可能说，哎 ，Vince。他们投资那个，他们是什么投资的公司啊？他有分享一下他的一个 model， 然后他就是讲 popcorn。Okay. All right. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Vince. Yeah. Everybody. But yeah, to finish that thought, right? So the last one, that takeaway story, it needs to be so simple, very, very simple. It could just be something like popcorn. Okay. But it's something to remember Vince for the next time. All right, let's take, somebody have the time? What's the time? 9:20, 9:18, okay. So let's take a quick 5-minute break. We're going to set the stage. We're gonna, yes. Yeah.
From the practice, but if in the mentor meeting and mentor do connect some resources to the other, and what suggest, I think like after the mentor meeting is also important because we all seek for long-term relationship with mentor.
Right.
And when they recommend or some resources, that what suggestions you will give when mentor recommends some resources to you, and also that I also want to know that what kind of things you observe that we should be aware
of? That's a great question. Let's ask the panelists that question. But remember that question. That's a really good question. But everybody, let's stretch for a few minutes. We're going to set the chairs. and then we'll come back in like 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll do the fireside. Okay. But yeah, please remember that question. All right. Take some time, stretch, get some drinks. Okay.
各位，如果你们肚子还饿，想吃东西的话，就是餐桌这边还有一些食物，所以如果想吃的话，都可以直接拿。然后厕所的话，在往后方的会议室，向左走到底就会是洗手间。
Yeah, that's one thing that I really want to try to do. We do it. Fireside, and then we'll do the next. Good. Yeah. It's very practical. Yeah. Okay, everybody, we're going to start the fireside panel. So everybody come back to your seats. Okay, we're going to start the fireside panel. All right. I hope everybody got some time to go to the bathroom really quick, get some food or drink. So we're going to jump right into the fireside and have an opportunity to talk with these great these two great mentors. So why don't we introduce ourselves? Yeah, Alan, why don't you go ahead?
My background is in tech engineering. Did a startup in Silicon Valley. We basically raised around 2.5, and then we sold afterwards after that. And then I went on to start some other companies, but afterwards I decided to join Amazon afterwards to be a startup BD manager. And so my job is to help startups get started on top of AWS and also start utilizing credits, those kind of things as well. So how do you get started on it? So my day-to-day job is basically mentoring startups in a way where we try to connect them with different types of either connections within the ecosystem, or we try to connect them with investors, or we try to get them started technically on top of the AWS platform. So,
cool. Jennifer.
Hey, my name is Jennifer. The company I'm working for is a very traditional Taiwanese apparel manufacturing business. So my role with the company is like health CVC, corporate venture, and health family office. So we do a lot of early stage investments regarding the areas that we think will benefit and help us to achieve the broader picture that we want our group to cover in the future. So mostly we focus on several sectors like, of course, fashion, automation of manufacturing, and of course, data analysis, and then perhaps smart clothing, health and fitness, sports tech, etc. I mentioned that I also right now I'm running an accelerator in Cambodia because we have our capacity, our 3 factories in Cambodia for more than 20 years. So we are pretty connected locally. We have a lot of investments in that company, in the country. So we just want to combine our expertise in early stage investments everywhere in the world and our understanding about the country to help them to grow their entrepreneurship ecosystem. So it's kind of like a health CSR, health investment kind of program. So you can consider me as an early stage investor. So I do a lot of meetings.
And the accelerator in Cambodia, is that open to anybody, like even Taiwanese companies?
Yes, but you have to have a very significant operation in Cambodia.
Okay, cool. Specific to fashion or anything?
Anything. If we only focus on fashion, there's no company.
Yeah.
Because it's still very early stage of the ecosystem development in Cambodia. So we open to everyone. As long as you have a significant operation in Cambodia, so even aspect, if you have the companies in Cambodia,
Okay.
we can help you.
Okay. Well, if anybody's interested, obviously find Jennifer.
Yeah. I haven't seen any combination like this. So Taiwanese founders in Cambodia, no.
Oh yeah? Yeah. Okay. Maybe there's some incentives, tax incentives. I'm just curious, but.
No.
No. Okay. So tonight we shared and we practiced a few techniques. I was wondering maybe Alan and Jennifer, if anything jumped out at you that you thought was useful, maybe 1 or 2 things that we talked about tonight.
I guess, yeah, building the relationships with the founders. I think going back to that, the 3 cups of tea reference of the.
Yeah. Can you explain that?
So when you're building a relationship with a mentor, you do want to try to balance it between how casual you keep it or how professional you keep it. And so when you're first meeting them, you're probably not going to be able to get everything out all at once. So I think the general framework is you can modify it as how you want it, but the first meeting that you have with them, don't have too many expectations. You'll probably want to keep it like maybe let's say 75% casual. Casual doesn't mean like you don't talk about any of your work, you just don't get into the too nitty-gritty details yet. And then the 25% is professional, and then The second meeting is maybe 50-50, and then your third meeting is going to be a lot more professional. You're going to want to actually get actionable results out of the meetings, and hopefully you can turn into a much more long-term relationship after that as well.
So you're saying that you would build the relationship more first, and then really focus in on ways to work together, or more detail-oriented things in later meetings. Is that right?
Exactly. And I think the idea is the fact that when you start to meet somebody, you might not necessarily consider them a mentor in the first place, but they might actually fulfill that role because of what you're working on later on. So I've had so many countless times where I thought, this meeting is just going to be a friendly kind of meeting that's just getting to know the person, but then afterwards I start working something that's actually relevant to what their expertise is. And I was like, holy shit, I can totally go to this person now that we're friends and then ask them for advice.
Yeah. Awesome. Jennifer, what about you?
I want to further clarify the name dropping example.
Okay.
Because actually, it started from that founder gave me too many name drops. He said something about like the connection with Nike and with the US Olympic team, and a fundraising with the Mexican family and things like that. So when you give out too many name drops, I need to verify some of them because there are just too many. So I try to validate just the one that I know I can for sure get a validation, and then it's a flop. So I, subconsciously think or reasonably think, oh, the other name drops.
False.
But I talked to some other people that founder talked to, because actually I got the meeting with that founder because of recommendations from so many people I talked to before.
Okay.
And none of them were able to validate some of the name drops.
Really?
So everybody was impressed by the name, but I got to them.
But you were the one that did the homework.
Well, because they didn't know.
They didn't know the person or the.
I mean, they didn't know by operating that accelerator. I'm actually on top of the family that is working with Nike.
Yeah.
So they didn't know I will be able to validate your, name drop.
Yeah.
So if you only do one or two name drops, maybe people will say, oh, that's impressive. But if it's too many, people will try to validate some of them.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. One thing you said about that I thought was great was, you're also making a judgment on the founder and their style or how they present themselves, and so you're also trying to understand, this person, right? And maybe there are a lot of people or maybe not maybe. There are people that are upfront with name dropping or just very upfront and saying, my company does this, it's been through that, it has this, it has that. Other founders may be more, also, right, conservative, right, where they don't speak about it all up front. But that's a style of the founder, and you're trying to gauge or understand this person's personality as well, right? But yeah, if they name drop and it's false, then that's not a good thing.
And I also want to say it's very often that mentors, when they come and meet you, they don't really have the time to go through most of the background of you or the agenda that you proposed before.
Yeah.
So of course I know you need to do homework to send out maybe an agenda right before the meeting. So the mentor has some notification or just they can prepare themselves, but most of the time they don't really prepare. So you still need to, like you demonstrated, just give them a very quick oral kind of agenda or the list of topics that you want to talk for today's meeting. So don't expect them to read.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's really important. Going back to a few things, just put yourself in the mentor's shoes, right? They are busy or they are working on other things at work. They may not have the time, like you may not have the time, but they also may not have the time to research you, or know your business or company. Or the other way, which is typically a lot of times when mentors may meet companies, what's one way that they research? They ask other mentors. They quickly text and say, hey, I'm meeting with Thomas from, blah, blah, blah today. Did you meet with this person? What do you think? Right? And so that's a very quick way that they do research on you. Not LinkedIn, but just what does somebody else think? And that goes back to what I talked about that last point, prepare people for their takeaway story of you, right? Prepare them for when somebody asks them, what do you think about Alan? What do you think about, Daniel? Like, prepare that for them, right? It's just better. Let's get to some questions. Sandy, you had a question. Do you want to re-ask that question? Thank you so much for the question before.
So what I want to ask is that after mentor do referral or do connect some resources to you, I think it's also important things, and we all seek for long-term relationship with mentor. So what would you suggest in this space? And also, like, from your experience, like what kind of problems you observe and you can share with us, then we can be careful of or be aware of.
That's a very good question. So sometimes the unfortunate thing for me as a mentor after I have a meeting with the founder is I specifically mentioned to them, I want to help you with this. Like, I want to introduce you to this connection. I want to hear from you again. How about the strategies that we talked about and what's the outcome of the trial or implementation? But you don't come back to me actively to tell me the follow-ups, because mentors don't have the obligation to come back to you and ask you how is everything right now. I want to hear the follow-ups. You need to be active about it. So when mentors specifically share with you, they want to offer you this, you need to take it.
Yes.
You need to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
I normally remember I specifically provide this kind of offer, and the founders, they didn't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I will feel like it's really a minus for my
your evaluation impression.
evaluation about the founder.
Yeah.
But it happens really often, more often than I can imagine.
Yeah, I think one of those things, actually, with a lot of things about startups, from my experiences, a lot of these things are common sense. But because you're juggling so many things as a founder, you don't have time to do all of it, right? And so that's probably the reason, right? Like, following up with somebody is very common sense. But usually the reason why you don't is because you're juggling so many other things. So you've got to figure out like how to prioritize time management, right? Because you're hearing from mentors, Jennifer, that the follow-up is really important, right? To build that relationship. I don't know what you think.
Well, I had a VC specifically say if the founder doesn't follow up with me within 24 hours, I'm not considering them aggressive enough.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, well, it is not very good for VCs like us to think it this way, but we generally kind of think of us having a conversation with you because I'm a potential investor.
Mm-hmm.
It should be like the priority of your all the other things.
Right.
So
At the top.
Yeah, if you have a difficulty to follow up with me,
Yeah.
I consider you don't really have the ability to manage all the other things like your important partners or maybe your very important potential clients.
Yeah.
Because you cannot even secure and follow up with your potential investor.
Yeah.
So that's a sign for us to judge.
Yeah. Or if as a VC maybe, if you don't follow up now, it's a sign of how you'll treat this relationship later. If I do invest in you, you may not follow up, at other times as well. Right? What other questions? Who has another question? Yeah. Oh, yes.
Hello, my name is Shifao. I'm from Lydia AI. We're a startup team under SparkLabs Taipei. We're building an AI model on insurance data to help insurance company to improve their underwriting process. And during tonight's session, I always have a question in mind. This question goes back to the very first step is how do we find a mentor? I mean, if we work in an environment where mentor meetings are not scheduled on a regular basis, how do we go out to find a mentor? Or if we work in an environment where there are mentor meetings, how do we pick from the list of mentors? Who are the best mentor for us? I always have this question for myself.
I think that's a great question. Jennifer Allen, who wants to take first chance?
I've had people write to me like cold leads in LinkedIn, and they would ask for my advice. And usually for me, like the main issue is there any benefit that I can offer to this person? And if they can clearly state that this is what they're looking for, and I think that it's relevant to what I can provide, then I'm definitely for taking that meeting, and I'm more than happy to. I mean, of course, that's probably me, but with other people, you might need to ask for warm intros. Warm intros are always hard to turn down because you're always doing a front paper, right? So if you know somebody that knows somebody, then that's always the way to go.
Or some events like this, you get to talk to people during a time. If you figure that this one might be the mentor or the professional, you want to ask further questions with, you can ask them if it's possible that I can visit you in another time and sit down and have a 30 minutes to 1 hour meeting with you. And I agree that LinkedIn is a pretty nice platform because I got approached by people from LinkedIn almost. And you have to be very specific. What exactly you want to ask and why you want to approach.
Yeah, that's a good question. One thought is that one question you asked is how do you know what mentor to ask, or how do you find the right mentor for your company? I would say to go back to what problem are you working on, and that problem that you're working on. I think it's Brian Chesky from Airbnb or something, or from Airbnb. Like he said something like if he's trying to work on a problem, he will find the 3 smartest people in that space and then just go seek them out, right? Now, he's CEO of Airbnb, he could do that. But probably in Taiwan, you could almost do the same thing. It has to be, like they're saying, very connected. So like you're in insurance, right? So then, for example, if you're working on a segmentation problem in insurance, maybe you can go to any of the big insurance companies, and if you find that person, you can say like, I've been working on this for a long time, and everybody says you're the expert. Can I buy you lunch or coffee? And people like hearing that, right? And that's somebody that may not be a real, like a traditional mentor, right? But I think, especially if you're a founder, you can do that. Like you can do that, and you can say, I've been trying to find an expert that I can talk to. Can I buy you some time and coffee? Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Who else? Yes.
Thank you, JD, Jennifer, Ellen, for the sharing up to this point. My name is Wei from SparkLabs Taiwan, and my question is sort of related to what Sandy was asking. So, also Jennifer, you mentioned like many of the founders you guys talk to, and they never really follow up. I'm sort of curious about your observation on like what's the percentage of those that doesn't really follow up, and among those, like what's the reason behind? Like, is it that they are incapable of handling things, or there are just simply too many things, or they don't even know they are in a position to follow up? I'm just curious about you guys' observation of that.
I feel like the percentage is around 50, like half.
50, 50.
Yeah, very, very high. I think some the reasons are culture aspect, because I figure for a lot of, especially Asian founders or Taiwanese founders as well, they feel like they don't want to bother people. So they are afraid if I keep asking the mentor the next meeting and help me with this referral, or sometimes mentors promise you to do a referral, but they didn't come back to you because they are too busy. So you need to email them, send a text to them to remind them. Maybe not even once, twice, because they didn't pick up your text at the right time. They were busy some other things, so they couldn't really reply right away. So just be a little bit more aggressive. But most of the Asian founders, they are afraid that it is hidden note from the mentor, so they don't want to push for it. But actually, there is nothing you can lose by pushing a little bit harder. It might be totally the other way. The mentors are just too busy at the moment, but they are willing to help you. So if you can remind them at the right time, they can still help you, right? For a potential investor like me, I'm actually observing everything. I'm trying to see if you can be aggressive or just right amount of aggressive about a very key important referral for you. So for me, sometimes it's cultural thing.
Yeah, that's true. It can be. But then, if you're saying 50, right, then that's a way to stand out, right? So if you do it well, then you're better than 50% of the people that you meet with.
Or sometimes I'll just say something like, if you have any other questions, I'm always here. You can always come to me. But I figure sometimes a lot of people think it's just a nice way for me to say bye to them, but I actually mean it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point too. Like, mentors and everybody, you're also, you can also provide value, right? They're trying to learn about new space, new business, new technology. And you can, in one of your follow-ups, maybe there was an action item that you're supposed to do. Maybe you can come back and offer an article or some sort of white paper and say, hey, I did some research and here's another way that I found to do it, right? To provide some value. Alan, what do you think?
So the question was.
Like 50-50 for you.
Yeah. How many people? What percentage of people follow up?
Is it my question, my problem, or?
I think in terms of follow up in terms of actually scheduling that second meeting for the fundraising aspect.
Well, let's say that you're in a meeting and the mentor gives you something to follow up on. Yeah, maybe some action.
I would say more than 50 actually. I wouldn't say it's specific towards like VC or anything either. It's just there's too many things that get fall into the wayside. And a lot of people ask me like, what's the hardest thing about running a startup? And it really is about priorities. So yeah, it's every time I provide any kind of action items to anybody that I'm talking to, I don't expect them to follow up on. I think the status quo is just the fact that they won't.
If you meet with Alan and you follow up, you are so much better than everybody else that meets with Alan. All right? So
I guess I have a higher percentage.
yeah.
Still following up because I have potential investment.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a better motivator.
Yes. Yeah, people want to follow up with you more. Yeah, follow up, like again, simple things, setting agenda, following up, prepping, these things can really do a lot. Yes, Edgar.
Actually, how I met Alan was as a story that when we met at TSS, he was like delivering a sharing for your previous company. So I just went to Alan and like become like Facebook friend. Okay. And then like when I just about to establish SparkLabs, I just asked Alan, I'm willing to become one of the mentors of SparkLabs. And invite him to our dinners and start to match our portfolio companies. we didn't know each other. And when the timeline Alan got a new business idea, I think when you told me that, we just met within maybe 2 days or something. Yeah, so I think keep the interaction. It's not just asking for money or asking for free advice as being a mentor.
Yeah.
How can you like really help each other and really having that kind of relationship, not only regarding for money, but it's more about helping each other. I think that's quite important. So you never know that what time like your potential investor might be starting a new company.
True.
Yeah, and you never know that when you was a founder, that you might be an entrepreneur. There might be someday that become a beast.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, not just asking for money, but also seeing like what kind of the things that this mentor is also seeking for. For example, like if you are talking to SparkLabs, maybe if there's any great startups want to expand to international markets, you might recommend them to have a meeting with Agri or SparkLabs. That's one way that you can offer support. So whenever you need advice or whenever you need money, that this mentor will feel like, hey, I owe you something.
Yeah.
Because you just recommended a good startup. Yeah. So this kind of like offering or relationship will become like turn out to be something good. So don't think like I totally agree with you. Like if you're asking for fundraising advice, for most of the time we won't invest. But a lot of time you're asking for opinions or how you grow your business, then we will consider, hey, you are like so promising, and also you are open-minded for any kind of advice.
Yeah.
That for some time that will need to potential investments. Yeah. So I just want to share like how and also I met Jennifer as well. It was recommended by one of our portfolio companies that turned out to be like I also invite Jennifer to our events and have more interaction. So I think keep that interaction not just only when you need money.
Right.
It's actually having that kind of relationship building that will convert into more things or more valuable things, not just money. Yeah.
So true. If you can provide value, I mean, in pretty much in anything, every time, if you can provide value to somebody, then there's going to be benefit, for providing that value, right? But and specifically with mentors, if you can provide value to mentors, which I think we've been saying a lot tonight, right? Like, what are the mentors thinking? If you can provide that value, it's very, very beneficial. Yeah. Thanks, Edgar. I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 last questions. So who has another question or thought or comment? Yes?
Yeah, maybe the only thing is that I just want to say I got really surprised about the follow-up rate that you mentioned about, because every time I talk with someone, whether they are a mentor, potential client, whatever else, I always send follow-up email with not a novel, but a very short summary of what we discussed. So, and I feel that really helped our business a lot. So I wonder if you have any advice there to improve that, maybe for someone in the audience that is struggling because they're just too busy. Maybe there's a better way to do that. Maybe you can ask AI to write an email for you.
Maybe, use a spreadsheet, use an Excel sheet, right? Like track it. Like when I was doing all those meetings with mentors all those years ago, like I had a mentor spreadsheet just in Google Sheets at the time, and I tracked a lot of this stuff. Like next action, follow up. When was the last time we met? I tracked all of that stuff.
So like a CRM system.
Like a CRM system. Yes. In fact, it may not be a big enough market, but like it could be a CRM system for mentors and accelerators. Yeah. Let's do one last question, and then we'll do thanks everybody for coming tonight, and then we'll do the networking. Yes. Thomas. Now you're stretching. Now you're asking questions.
I'm just curious how many startups here as a mentor, and does it start with a good mentor as a higher percentage of succeeding?
Wait, so I think there are 2 questions, but the second question is, if I think maybe I'll ask you a question for you. A really good mentor, how can they help that startup, right? Like, how does a really good mentor help that startup to succeed?
I think the first question is like how many startups they have mentors or do they own mentors?
How many startups do they have mentored?
Or in
How many startups
like
here have
yeah,
mentors?
Oh. Got it. Well, let's ask, how many startups here have mentors for your startup? Okay, that's like only 10% of the room, right? So maybe everybody can use some techniques tonight and go find some more mentors, but yeah, okay. But maybe we'll end on that question, like how do you, if somebody said, I'm a new startup, I'm looking for mentors, how can a mentor help my business? What would you say to that question?
I think so. I had a mentor meeting that, and you want to find mentors that really challenge you in terms of what your thought process is. And I can think of a specific example of us when we were doing our previous company. Just a little bit of background. We wanted to do like bracelets where you could shake hands and exchange contact information. And then we talked to an investor at the time, like, what's the value add of actually having it on your hand versus then wearing it maybe on your chest? And that kind of flipped us into an entirely new pivoted direction into how we could really easily achieve our same thing. Because sometimes as founders, you get so ingrained into the process, like you're like nose deep. Your nose is like actually within the product itself, and you lose vision like that. And so getting that outside perspective, and especially people that disagree with you and really challenge you on your thought process, those are the type of people that you really want to talk to.
But I think that's a very good question. However, pretty hard for me to answer because I consider everyone you can potentially be a mentor because we all know something that we are really good at. So most of the time when I'm mentoring, I'm trying to help them understand something about economics or finance. However, because I talk to a lot of startups, so I sometimes help them to do strategic planning as well. I can simply share with them some of the other examples that I've seen before, what companies go through similar situations that they are facing right now, and what did they do, what was the outcome, and things like that. So I didn't try to tell them what is right or what is wrong, but I shared examples with them. So, and like Alan said, for example, I just had a mentor meeting with a company that I invested yesterday. The founder was telling me they have a platform to match consumers and providers, service providers. And there are several criteria for consumers to choose to specify what kind of services that they are looking for. And they are giving the service providers to raise their hands and say, hey, I can match with this request. But I want to counter offer you something so they can adjust some of the criteria based on the request. And I asked them, so how can you prioritize what kind of counter offer you want to show your user as the priority, like the first one to pop up, because normally people match with the very first one they see. How can you prioritize that so your potential users will match it right away? And he said, we don't know, so we want to make statistics and we will prioritize all the functions. So I asked them, why don't you just ask your user directly? Like when you want to see the counter offers, what is the priority that you want to see? Simply like Airbnb, for a user, you can say, I want to see the cheapest price or the biggest room or things like that. And he was like, I've never thought about this. I was like, how come? How can you never think about it in this way? So that's a very classic example because the whole team is so deep down into the development of the new platform.
Yeah.
So that never think that they can actually just go to ask the user directly. So just by talking to someone who can help you to think in an independent way or from a third person perspective with some experiences, they can be your mentor already. So I think, you know, trying to find someone who can really identify with a business model you wanna do. They wanna help you. They recognize what you wanna achieve and build some personal relationships so they can help you. I don't think there's a specific kind of mentor that can help you better.
Awesome. Okay, we're a little bit out of time, but everybody, let's give a round of applause for Jennifer Lin Allen. Let's give a round of applause to all the staff. And also our great audience participants, Wei Ting and Vince. So everybody, let's give a round of applause. Please enjoy the rest of the evening, the drinks, and network a little bit, and then we'll do a photo. And then once again, thank you so much for coming to Plus One Business Center. We do this once a month. Hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
大家合照一下。那我们这个方向可以关掉，那不然把它关掉。哦，要过来。他其实放低一下。打的。
I think we can block it.
Okay. Okay, yay! Thank you, everyone. Good luck, everyone. Hey, 我刚刚有没有看到你？然后我们最近有没有。